Welcome to this explainer. Okay, picture this. Have you ever been just walking down the street and bam, you catch the scent of a familiar perfume, or maybe you hear the very first chords of an old song playing in a coffee shop, and out of nowhere, you're just completely transported? It's this universally understood feeling, right? A sudden rush of warmth mixed with an undeniable, almost heavy ache. But what exactly is that feeling, and why do our brains spend so much of our precious energy making us long for the past?
Take a second and think about your own sensory triggers. Maybe for you, it's the smell of rain on hot asphalt during the summer, or the super specific taste of a brand of cereal you used to eat when you were 10. Why do we long for the past like this? Okay, let's dive into this, because the surprising origins of this feeling and the word itself are absolutely fascinating. And they honestly explain so much about human nature.
The word we're talking about, of course, is nostalgia. Now today, it's usually described as a wistful, maybe excessively sentimental yearning for the past. But the real story? That's found in its Greek roots. It actually derives from nostos, which means homecoming, and algos, which means pain. So the crucial point here is that nostalgia literally translates to a painful homecoming. This really establishes the core bittersweet concept right from the very beginning. It's an incredibly complex emotional cocktail that mixes pleasant yearning with those really painful what-ifs.
So, here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with 1, the hook and history, then 2, triggers in your brain, 3, the sweet side, 4, the bitter side, 5, restorative versus reflective, and finally, 6, engaging with the past.
Section 1. The disease of nostalgia, a surprising medical history. Just a heads up, everything you thought you knew about this is about to be turned upside down.
So, back in the 17th century, nostalgia wasn't considered an emotion at all. It was actually diagnosed as a severe neurological disease. The term was coined by a Swiss physician named Johannes Hofer to describe this incredibly debilitating condition that was affecting soldiers. And the symptoms were intense. We're talking weeping spells, severe insomnia, obsessive thoughts of home, and even anorexia. As we move into the early 19th century, that view evolved, and it was seen primarily as a form of melancholy or depression. It actually wasn't until the 1900s that the definition began to broaden from simply missing a specific physical place, like homesickness, to longing for a distant time. And only in our modern day has it taken on a generally positive connection to our past. Talk about a historical rebrand, right?
Section 2, triggers in your brain, the neuroscience of memory. Now, what's really interesting about this next part is how we shift from history to hard science.
Nostalgia isn't just all in your head in some dismissive, made-up way. It's a profound, completely measurable neurological event. It's most commonly triggered by sensory stimuli, those specific sights, smells, and sounds we just talked about, as well as social interactions or major life transitions. When it's triggered, it actively fires up crucial brain regions. It activates areas associated with self-reflection and autobiographical memory, which is essentially our ability to store and retrieve facts about our own lives. But most importantly, it activates regulation processing and reward centers. What this actually means is that your brain is actively using nostalgia as a protective mechanism to regulate your emotions and shield you against physical and psychological threats. Literally, it's just your brain looking out for you.
Section 3. The sweet side, the benefits of looking back.
When the pendulum swings toward the positive, leaning into the past can actually be an incredibly healthy practice. First off, it can produce a natural high. When we revisit happy memories, our brains release dopamine, which actively helps reduce feelings of stress and anxiety. Second, it enhances your sense of meaning. During times of sadness, or maybe when you're feeling a bit lonely, nostalgia serves as this powerful reminder that your life is a large, deeply meaningful tapestry, and that inspires a much more hopeful mindset. Third, it affirms social belonging. It motivates us to prioritize our important relationships or even resolve interpersonal conflicts. And finally, it boosts creativity. Yeah, studies actually show that the sense of safety provided by positive memories promotes an openness to totally new ideas.
But what happens when we get stuck? Because as comforting as the past can be, it is dangerously easy to cross the line from taking a quick, refreshing visit into taking up permanent residence.
Section 4. The bitter side, the consequences of rumination.
Unchecked nostalgia carries some pretty stark warnings. First up is the idealized past. This is a sneaky form of self-deception where we just erase the boring or difficult parts of a memory and only favor a highly romanticized version. Next is stagnation. Getting stuck in the past really hinders our reception to new experiences, and it just halts our progress. Then there's negative coping. This happens when we use the comfort of memories as a ruminative tactic to escape the present and avoid our current challenges. And finally, worsen symptoms. If it's handled poorly, nostalgia can drastically increase feelings of guilt, loneliness, worry, and depression. Instead of being a stepping stone, it becomes a hiding place.
Section 5. Restorative versus reflective. A bittersweet symphony. And this brilliantly illustrates how to make sense of this wild pendulum swing between the sweet and the bitter. We can turn to a framework introduced by cultural theorist Svetlana Boym in her 2001 book, The Future of Nostalgia. She breaks it down into two types. Restorative nostalgia is the attempt to impossibly rebuild what we've lost, or to literally try and relive the past. It's actually linked much more closely to Hoffer's original 17th century pathological view of nostalgia as a disease. Reflective nostalgia, on the other hand, focuses on acknowledging those feelings of longing and loss, accepting that the past is entirely gone, and recognizing that our memories are a pretty imperfect process. It's basically the difference between trying to rebuild a ruined castle so you can go live in it versus simply appreciating a really beautiful painting of it.
As the famous French novelist and critic Marcel Proust once put it, remembrance of things past is not necessarily the remembrance of things as they were. I love that. It perfectly anchors the whole concept of selective memory. It's a really poignant reality check, reminding us that when we slip into reminiscence, our brains just love to compare our present, completely flawed reality to a beautifully idealized past that never really existed in the way we remember it anyway.
Section 6. Engaging with the past. How to use nostalgia constructively. Let's move to this and see how it builds on everything we've learned.
So here are 4 highly impactful, actionable tips for reflective engagement. 1. Check in with yourself. When nostalgia strikes, stay in tune with your feelings. If you find yourself ruminating or trending towards sadness, consciously pivot away. 2. Engage in social settings. Going through old photos all by yourself, that can promote loneliness. But doing it with friends, that leads to deep conversations and actually creates brand new memories. 3. Remember your brain plays tricks on you. Always acknowledge that selective memory is at work here. And 4. Use it to practice gratitude. Instead of wishing something from the past was still here, reframe that longing into profound gratitude for the experience itself and how it contributed to the person you are right now. Look, evolutionarily, our brains want black and white thinking, but learning to integrate the bitter with the sweet, that is exactly how we master this complex emotion.
So, I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder. How will you reframe your past today? The next time you smell that familiar perfume on the breeze or hear that old song playing in a cafe, will you try to go live in a ghost town, or will you smile, accept the bittersweet ache, and use it to beautifully fuel your present? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope you look back and forward with a completely new perspective. Catch you next time.